Stephen, your To the Bone World Tour has been and indeed continues to be a huge success. And your performances have received a great response from audiences in sold-out venues all over the world. So I'd first like to congratulate you on this success and would love to ask you a few questions.
Absolutely.
So I wonder, what are your thoughts about the fact that your music appeals to so many people?
I mean, obviously, you know, one of the things that's most gratifying if you make music is to see a very wide spectrum in your audience, that in your demographic. And one of the things I love most about what I do is I do see that. So I see young people, I see older people, I see families, where the kids have introduced the parents have introduced the kids to the music. I see a lot more women now, which is fantastic, of course, too. And I think in some ways that's the greatest compliment of all to me, to my music, is to say that it somehow exists outside of any generic pigeonholing, if you understand what I mean. And I think you kind of understand that when you see that reflected back at you in your audience. It's not just metal guys, it's not just progressive rock guys, it's not just this or that. And these days I look out at the audience and I see this very eclectic kind of mixture of people that just respond in a very positive way and engage with the music in a very deep way. And I'm really, really proud of that. And I think that's something that takes almost a career to achieve that. It's not something you just achieve overnight. It's almost something you achieve making music over a longer period of time. And it kind of reaches all these different corners and all these different people. So yes, that's something actually one of the things I'm most proud of about my career is that it has transcended, if you like, this idea of just appealing to a narrow demographic in the listening audience.
I can understand that very well, because I grew up in a small town and we all went to the same school, like unsorted. And also when you see that kind of unsortedness in the audience, it's really a great thing.
That's a great way of putting it, unsortedness, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Is it sometimes when you look out to the audience or at the queue waiting to get in, that you're thinking, how can these people know that I have something for them? Because they might look very different from yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy, isn't it? I do that all the time. Sometimes I look out at the audience and I see the guys with the tattoos and the Pantera Metallica t-shirts, and I'm just about to do a real pop number, and I'm thinking to myself, these guys are going to hate that, and then I see them all dancing. And I think and I think back to myself as a young 12, 13-year-old kid, and I was listening to stuff like Iron Maiden and the young metal, but I was also I was loving ABBA and Frank Sinatra and Miles Davis records, and going down to my local library and taking out very experimental classical music. And to me, it was all magical. It was all magical, the magic of music. And it's sometimes easy to forget that it's, of course, that's something that's just as possible in anyone, and just because you wear a metal t-shirt or you look like a metal guy doesn't mean you're not very open to all sorts of other kinds of music too. But yes, I think it's very easy to make those kind of judgments. I think anyone that comes along to my shows these days knows that there's going to be a bit of everything. There's going to be a bit of metal, a bit of jazz, a bit of pop, a bit of ambient, a bit of electronic music. But they all kind of respond to it, and that's amazing.
But I guess you're right that it takes a career to get there, because you have to have the time and patience to people to let people know that it is
exactly.
You. It is
and
you.
Also, I think what you have to do over a period of time and over a series of albums is you have to constantly almost confront the expectations of your audience. So you make one record and you build a fan base based around that record. Okay, but now I want to make a different record and I want to expand my horizons. And as soon as you do that, you're kind of confronting the expectations of the audience that essentially are expecting more of the same. So that's initially I find that's really hard. And one of the things I've found, throughout my career is every time I've made an album, there has been initially a kind of backlash from the core fan base. Not all of them, but there's been some people said that this is not what we wanted. This is not what we wanted from a Stephen Wilson record. We like what he was doing then. But I think over time, though, even some of those people kind of gradually learn to love the new direction. And I remember that's what I was like with artists. I loved when I was growing up. I loved my expectations to be confronted. And sometimes that necessitated almost an initial sense of disappointment. Oh, this is not, it's not what I wanted. But then you grow, you begin to decode what it is that the artist has done, and sometimes you can love it just as much, if not more. And I think that's why it takes a series of albums to understand all of the different aspects of someone's musical personality.